to do that next phase. And I don't think you need a 50-page projection, but you do have to have, you may have to go to the outside to call on people to help you with that projection, that pro forma, because, and that's not something I suggest you run out and get an accountant and pay money to, because you're going to find that most accountants don't know how to do that kind of stuff. Most accountants do your taxes, right? I mean, they do your taxes, they do your P&L for your business, but they don't know how to do a sophisticated projection, and you leave out so many things. So that's the kind of thing you should find some guy that's an entrepreneur now that will do you a favor and help you figure out how to do that pro forma, because it's very tough.
So let's do a mind check. Let's do a mind check real quick. How many of you are intending or interested in starting a business? Pull them up high so I can see what we've got. Okay. How many of you, based on that you have your hands up, have actually taken the time to write a business plan? Did we lose half? Well, okay, let me start over again. How many of you said you wanted to start a business? No, I don't mean this to tease you. I'm going to try. We're going to try to help you right now. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. How many of you have a plan already?
Started.
Business plan. No, how many of you have it? Okay, now finish. How many have a finished business plan? Okay, so we're going to get it. I see you. Like 3, 4.
Any business or this?
For the business that you just raised your hand about starting, right? Okay. I want to hear some words, if you don't mind.
No, it's just have a discussion about business plan.
Reverend Najum and I work with USC as associates for this program called the Faith Leadership Institute, and what it is designed to help faith-based organizations look at ways to address issues from a social justice standpoint. Different programs, different nonprofit programs that they're trying to start. And rarely do we have a class where anyone has written a business plan, where anyone has put together a board, where anyone has just looked at the issues that are facing them. And so one of the things that we start with thinking about in terms of concept of building a business is the initial stuff first, right? So what keeps you from doing your business plan? Let's see if we can get some answers about that tonight so you can start moving forward tomorrow morning. Otherwise, we just had a nice little get-together. And at the end of the day, where everyone is right where they left off. So let's help us understand what's keeping you from getting your business plan done.
Lack of information.
Like?
Where do I go to find a model business plan?
And watch this. Turn around and ask them. Where do I go?
To find
I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to get this thing practical, right? Otherwise, we're wasting your time.
And this is a perfect. This is the whole purpose of this, is to understand, the needs of the community, the entrepreneurial community. So Ben, you talked about where do you go and find an example or a business plan. And I do want to chime in on this part, because I think that there's been somewhat of a change in the way startups and entrepreneurs present and pitch their business over the past few years. There was, in the past, I would say there's been a big focus on the 20, 30, 50-page business plan with the pro forma and all of those, and every business plan always has that, chart with the arrow, the hockey stick, right? It goes up and to the right. That's every business plan, right? Right? Because, in 2 weeks, you'll do $1 million in revenue, so that's why you should invest in this company. But what's happening now is it's really, when we talk with our advisors, and because we're considering about going out and raising a round of investment, is they really say, take that business plan, you're kind of working on that, and then condense it down into 13 slides. PowerPoint slides. And then the next thing they say is, now condense that down into your 90-second pitch. So many of you may have, I think, did you guys get the handouts that were there? That is one of those documents right there are probably one of the most informed documents on starting companies here in Orange County. Yeah, I want to just kind of share a little bit about it. You guys can take it home and read it. That was given to us by one of our advisors, and he's a member of Tech Coast Angels, one of the founding members of Tech Coast Angels. And they went out and interviewed all the Tech Coast Angel members. And how many of you are familiar with the organization Tech Coast Angels? Okay. So this is when you're talking about awareness and information and where do you get a business plan and so forth. Tech Coast Angels was founded here in Orange County, and they are now the country's largest angel investment network. Okay, these folks fund multi-million-dollar deals, and basically they get together. And I've been to some of their pitches. They're in Newport Beach at a law firm, and you go in there, and entrepreneurs come up, and they pitch the idea, and then the investor just tears it apart and tries to make the entrepreneur insecure about the idea. But at the end of the day, these folks have all started successful companies. So getting back to the handout, they surveyed all of these folks, and this was recently in the past 90 days. They surveyed them all, and they said, what's the advice that you have for an entrepreneur? And that's what you have in front of you. There's actual advice from successful multimillionaire investors, entrepreneurs here in North County. Ben, to answer your specific question, I would actually say starting with that 13, 17-page PowerPoint presentation on what's this idea, and then going back to what Ron talked about, can it make money, the business model, start to articulate, here's how this thing makes money. But I wouldn't start with, the whole 50-page business plan, because then you'll have paralysis by analysis, and you'll never get started. So that would be my answer. Where do you get it? We'll start with the pitch, and I can give you a handout on what that presentation pitch should look like. So good question. What other things do you need? Yes, Kathy.
Advisors.
Okay.
Advisors.
I mean, really, in terms of, yes, I know I need to do a business plan, and I've tried writing one for 4 months, and I don't feel any more accomplished at it today than I did when I wrote the first one 4 months ago. So a lot of it goes back to what you were saying, Ron, and that is knowing all of the aspects. How many paper clips am I going to use, and when am I going to use them, and who's going to use them, and what are they going to be used for, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, I find one of the reasons the biggest reason I haven't completed my business plan is because I'm personally unhappy with it, because I'm not real sure that it says what it needs to say. In fact, I'm certain it doesn't say all of what it needs to say. But then maybe I'm overthinking that, and maybe it does, but because I don't know what I'm doing, essentially.
I think you got to start with that, again, the investor, and I have a great handout that I'll provide and ask you questions. But these are the things, how do we get you closer to completing that process so that you can either start, talk to advisors, talk to investors, we get that going.
I do have someone working on a business plan, but if I can cut costs and do it myself, that would be wonderful. But the thing is, it's all about research, and where do you go to research? It's all about,
Well, good question. Well, I think you had mentioned you had a couple of business ideas,
yes.
and one of them was in the restaurant business,
yes.
right? So, first question: do you know any other successful restaurant entrepreneurs that you can call on the phone?
Yes.
Okay, so I think starting there, I think your people, your human resources, your intellectual resources is the first piece. Anybody have other ideas on research?
Most of my research I just did just basically going on the internet. And that was really it. I mean, there's certain pieces of research you have to purchase because, again, there may be some organizations within the industry that you're pursuing that has certain information that is necessary for you to include in your business plan. But again, the research aspect of it is really just based on what it is that you're actually trying to determine where your service or where your whatever your business model is, where that fits in that industry.
I'm confused. If it was real easy. If it was real easy, right? There'd be a whole lot of entrepreneurs. Yeah. None of you guys would be punching a clock for someone else, right? None of you would. And just consider the thought that every person you work for makes more money off of your efforts than you do. Yeah. So, we wouldn't choose to sell ourselves for less than we're worth if it was easy to do this. So, and let's not glamorize the work and the work requirement. It's not less than 8 hours a day. In fact, it's more like 14 hours a day. It's a lot of long nights and long days. And so let's not play with that. It can be very rewarding, but everything that is very rewarding has a cost. Everything. And so we want this. That's right, Ron. I just want to make sure we keeping it real. Now,
The reason that a lot of people don't have a business plan is because it's rigorous. It requires rigor. It requires concentration for prolonged periods of time, and requires that we think about things that we normally don't give a whole lot of thought to. And you have to go through this process to get it's giving birth. And amen for the women here. I don't know if I've experienced that yet. Amen. I was like, push! I was in a cheerleading squad, but I wasn't on the field. Amen. Right? But just to think about that, you know what? You may not ever get it perfect. But the one that's written on paper is better than the one in your mind. Right? So get that one out.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like it, get it out of your mind and put it on paper. And then let someone take a red marker and mark it up. You got it?
So any takers?
Yes, I think we can find a taker. I think we can find a taker.
Well, and so this is... One of the things, ideas that Reverend and I have talked about is that what's the next step in this and where do we go? And and this is just my vision here, is that I would love to see this be similar to what they did with New Me, where we can have...
Did we just name it? What did we call it?
Me too.
I'm glad everybody else is I think we got something hot here. I don't know.
Well, you see, I was trying to pitch a little different with it, but that we can help you with that process, and how do we create the ecosystem and that community here. But no, it's a lot of work.
And the second point, you may not find the best website to produce your business plan, but just find it. Pick 3 and run with the first one that you like. Get it in writing. Again, it starts the process, and really, a lot of knowledge occurs after you get past what we call unconscious incompetence. Getting past the part when we don't know what we don't know. You ever try to learn how to swim without jumping in the water? That's a level of unconscious incompetence, right? And then when you jump in the water and you realize you cannot swim, now you're at least conscious that you can't swim, right? And so we have to move to a level of conscious incompetence, right? And until you put it on paper, you are unconsciously incompetent. You don't know. So we want to at least move to phase 2, all right? This is really about moving through those phases until you get to a level of unconscious competence where you do the work and you don't have to think about how the work works. You got it? Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, question, sir?
I believe Small Business Administration and SCORE within them has a business plan handout that they can give.
Yeah.
So you can contact them.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to mention.
And I'm glad you said that. I just want to toss this in for you. CORE, CDC, has a relationship with the district manager for SBA. And if that's something that you want us to bring here and do that, we're more than happy to do that.
Absolutely. And Orange County, and this is what we work with, Orange County has a specific chapter of that focuses on tech startups. And one of our advisors heads that up. So resources abound, are everywhere. Josh, I know you had some comments and questions.
That's exactly what I was going to mention. That the Small Business Association. So they were talking about tech startups that might need millions and millions of dollars. Well, some of you guys might not need millions of dollars. Maybe you just need $300,000. Just for a small
Can I get an investment?
You got it. So for the traditional way of going through raising some money, Small Business Association, SCORE provides these very simple templates and free advisors. It's no cost. And I do a lot of networking in the Orange County area, and they do. It's a great basic resource. And if that's what you need, that may be all you need. And here we're talking about some really big, very cutting edge kind of ideas that isn't usually brought to the SBA, and that's kind of where where Abraham and these folks were introduced.